K-12 and our community college partners. So for those advisors, counselors, lead faculty members who want students here today, I thank you. For those of you who come, this is going to be a good experience. Not just to get out of the classroom, right? But this is a good opportunity to build a relationship with us. You're going to learn a lot today, but it's going to be fun learning. So thank you for coming out. We have another session that's about to start, but just enjoy the day. Thank you.
And you've heard me say this before, you're going to get a lot of information today. And the goal is just to take one or two things with you. If you do that, then you're going to be successful. You want to make sure that you have information about financial literacy and how to apply that, but other information that you can apply in your life now, right? So that you can make those great decisions for moving forward. With that being said, the next thing that's going to happen in this space is a panel discussion. And that panel discussion is going to be by our alum advisory board. I'm pretty sure that I said that incorrectly. Please feel free to correct me. And they're going to share information with you. They are wisdom holding people. And that panel discussion is going to be moderated by Ms. Kirby's Case. So give them a round of applause. Right, they can do better than that, right?
Our focus on partners in education and really building our relationships with you because you're the future. And if you look at your badges, we've got future equals on there because we hope that you will consider Coppin and the Coppin experience. And so we brought you 3 of our alumni, and they're special to us because they are all prominent entrepreneurs in the community. And so I'm going to give them each an opportunity, a couple minutes to introduce themselves. There is Hope Mims to the immediate right of me, followed by Niall Carter and Bruce Dunhams. Hope, will you lead us?
Absolutely. Good morning, everyone. My name is Hope Mims. I am the broker and CEO of Mims Realty Group, which is a real estate brokerage firm. We specialize in residential and commercial real estate. We're licensed in Maryland, DC, as well as Pennsylvania, and we serve clients that are looking to build wealth through real estate. So if you know anything about real estate, or even if you don't, you are able to build a massive amount of wealth through real estate. You know Jay-Z, you know all the other people, Beyonce, everybody else, they all own real estate. And so you can build a mass of wealth through real estate. My name is Hope Mims, and I'm looking forward to our panel today.
I'm the fun one who loves a microphone. My name is Niall Carter Gray. I help make accounting a little less taxing for small business owners all across the U.S. I am the CEO and founder of First Step Accounting, a virtual accounting, tax preparation, and education firm located here in Baltimore. I am a Coppin alumni. I went here when it was Coppin State College, not Coppin State University, so that's just to let y'all know how old I am, even though I look like I'm 12, right? I do a lot of work with some commercial partners. How many in here have heard of TurboTax? Yes, so the name of the owner of that company is called Intuit. I do a lot of work with them, so after this talk, you may even see me in your Instagram ads, talking about accounting and balance sheets. And you know, how to manage that wealth that Hope's going to help you get through real estate. Got any questions, let me know.
Good morning now. Good morning. Yes. Good morning, everyone. My name is Bruce Dunham. I am a Coppin alum, class of 97. So it's been a while. I'm really old. Did someone say, wow? Yeah. All right, that's nice. Yes, I have children your age in the back there. I am what you call a serial entrepreneur. I own the Innovative Advisory Firm, which is a strategy consulting practice. I own the Innovations Factory, which is a ed tech platform that teaches Gen Zers about entrepreneurship, and then we own 4 or 5 other, or shares in 4 or 5 other businesses. We own an esports agency, we own a marijuana paraphernalia company, we own a textile company, a cybersecurity firm. So we do a lot. And I'm really excited to share my thoughts and hopefully answer any questions. And I hear that we might have some entrepreneurs in the audience, so I definitely want to hear your story and where you are in your journey if you are an entrepreneur.
Okay, let's give them a round of applause. All right, so first question. Tell us how Coppin has prepared each of you in your respective sectors. You all talked about ownership, your CEOs, but tell us how Coppin and your education experience helped you level up to this point. Talk to us a little bit about that. Bruce, do you want to kick it off?
Sure. So I think, what's really interesting about business is it doesn't matter what school you go to. You go to Coppin, you go to Harvard, any of these institutions. They don't necessarily talk to you or prepare you to be in that environment. What I learned from Coppin though is I was able to gather a sense of family, and I got to tell you that really goes far in life, right? So because here at Coppin, what I learned is when I saw someone that looked like me, that came from a similar background as me, I knew to make sure that I looked out for that person. And when I looked someone in the eye and I gave them the head nod and they gave it back to me, I knew that we were connected. And when you're in corporate America or in corporate environment, you're not going to always see people that look like you, that have the same sense as you. So I think it's important that when you guys are interacting with one another, that you keep in mind that we're kind of in the same family. And so you got to make sure that you're looking out for your brother and for your sister. And when you do that, that goes a long way. Those relationships go a long way. And I think that was probably the number one thing that I got out of Coppin. More so than any class that I took, more so than any activity that I participated in. But just being able to know that you have to be your brother or your sister's keeper. That is so important. And so that's why I come back here, right? So to try and offer opportunities to people that look like me, that have similar backgrounds as me. And I think that that really keeps you going throughout your career.
Thank you, Bruce. So Hope is our chair for our Center for Strategic Entrepreneurship Business Alumni Advisory Board. I said a lot. But we create these organizations or clubs, so to speak, adult clubs, so that we can learn more about what we need to do for the community and youth. And so Hope leads that group, and I'd like for her to talk a little bit about how Coppin has prepared her.
It's all about relationships. Relationships, I don't care where you go or what you do, when you're in your community, you have relationships with somebody in the street, somebody around the corner. In your school, you have relationships. You have relationships with your teachers. You have relationships, and those relationships, the strength of those relationships will take you far. So what I gathered from here at Coppin was the relationships. You can go really, really far because people that know you, they know what work you bring to the table, they know your work ethic. They will make sure that they look out for you and point you in a direction that's going to help you propel to the next level. So it's all about relationships.
Nina, do you have anything to add to that?
I do. So relationships are important, but one of the things that I learned here at Coppin was really to find my voice. As Bruce mentioned, you will walk into a room and you may, especially in a corporate environment, may end up in a room with nobody in that room who looks like you. And that can be really intimidating. And so being exposed to being in those rooms early on just kind of made me understand that there's power in what I know, There's power in who I am. There's power in my background. There's power in things I don't know. There's power in the people who I meet. So like, Hope mentioned, we're, connected. Baby, I'm y'all auntie now. So everybody in this room, if you need an auntie to vouch for you, I got you back. And that's because you're here and you're paying attention, you're valuing the expertise that's here. Because what happens is the more you know, the more you grow. And if you're sitting here and you're not really using this opportunity to further who you are as an individual or to meet somebody you may not ever come across again, then you are missing out. And so here at Coppin, I was exposed to people from all across the U.S. I have brothers now that live in Jersey. I have friends that were from Jamaica who ended up on this campus because they wanted to grow their knowledge just like I did.
So we talked about a lot of skills, connectedness, relationships, finding your voice, in particular in spaces where others do not look like us. What are the top three skills or characteristics that college students should be perfecting, in particular if they plan to start a business?
Can I start here?
Sure.
One, you should learn how to research. You all have grown up with the power of the internet. Back in the day when we grew up, we had to look through things in what's called a book. I don't know if you know what that looks like, but like if you didn't know how to spell something, you couldn't ask Siri. You literally had to phonetically sound it out to go to the dictionary. So understanding that you have a mini computer in your hand at all times, and half of y'all are playing on it right now. Knowing how to utilize that technology will be able to take you very, very far. Also, honing in your personality. Like, you will learn who you are, what you like, what you don't like. Don't let anybody take that from you. So if you go to dinner and you don't like peas, don't eat the peas because somebody else is telling you you need to eat the peas to go to the next level. Say, I prefer green beans, right? And be okay with that decision because sometimes you will be put in a position where you have to choose between you and them and be okay with the results of that choice. And then third, build a network. This is my good friend here, Helen, who just joined us. When you're in these rooms, it's all about the power of who you know. So being able to meet people who may not agree with you and be able to have a dialogue about those differences really will be able to take you far because you may learn something along the way.
So Hennifer just joined us. She was moderating over on the other side. We talked about a network, we talked about helping one another, and as alumni, the five of us have come back in many ways and kind of put our foot to the ground, boots on the ground. And so I'd like to introduce Ms. Hennifer Grant, if you could tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, hello everybody. Good to see you all. So I'm Hennifer, and I actually have a company, and looking at the crowd, we break it down. Okay, so we help people get jobs, and we help companies hire the right people. And I've been doing that now for over 18 years, and love giving back, and love connecting people to what they are supposed to do, not just doing what comes your way, but doing what you are called to do. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you. So we were just talking about the three skills and characteristics that a college student should be perfecting. Bruce, Hennifer, Hope, do you have anything to add?
I'd like to add, I think that communication skills are so important. You will walk into a room where you have to communicate with other people. And so just keep in mind, what got you in the room won't keep you in the room. So you have to have developed a good amount of communication skills. The other thing that I would say is really, really important is time management. As you begin to go through college and even go into your career, managing your time is going to be the essential to your success. Because you can't have all of these things to do and you don't even know where they are. They need to be on a calendar or some type of mechanism where you know where you're supposed to be. And set aside time for yourself. All the money that you can make is going to be there, but if you're not here because you didn't take time for self-care, you got to incorporate that into your time management. So make sure your time lock in adding in self-care, because go on vacation, take a trip, spend time with your family, because once you're gone, you don't get a chance for jewelry.
And baby, let me tell you, Hope goes on vacation. Y'all follow her on Instagram. I'm like, I'm jealous because I want to get in her bag and go with her.
I'm going away in 3 weeks.
You know, to piggyback off of what you just said, Hope, with the self-care, I wish somebody taught me that a long time ago. But, you know, while in college, I just think one of the most important skills to begin to develop is self-awareness, being able to look at yourself to determine what you want, having those still moments. Because in college and when you get prepared for it, this is one of the very few opportunities where people give you a lot of grace to mess up. Because after that, the grace to mess up, it dwindles. Come on, I see some head nods, but it's not gonna look at a whole lot, right? What you got away with, you know, while you were in the process is not the same expectation for when you graduate from the process. So being able to just sit still and say, what do I want? What do I like? Where am I going? Why am I here? What are the decisions that I need to make to get me to where I need to be? So just definitely self-introspection and self-awareness.
Yeah, I think, how many of you guys want to be entrepreneurs? How many of you guys want to start a business? So the greatest skill that you can learn as an entrepreneur is how to sell. How to sell a product or a service. So I don't really care about all the back office, customer service, all that stuff. Can you actually sell? Can you sell a product? Can you get somebody to part with the few dollars they have in their pockets and purchase whatever it is you have? That skill will take you so far. And yeah, you got to get all the other stuff. And I agree. I know the time, man. I get all that. But can you actually sell your product and make some money? So if you guys are in high school now, you guys don't have a job, go get a sales job. And don't go get a sales job at Foot Locker. Go get a sales job at a what's the opposite of Foot Locker? Yeah, well, not a place that you have to get paid commission. So not the place they sell the Nikes, but the place they sell the Felix. Go sell from there, all right? And work or Clark, and work on that skill set. How do you build that skill? Nowhere in college will they prepare you to sell. There may be a class here on how to sell, but I doubt there's more than one. So, and nowhere in higher education do you find an environment where they teach you how to sell. You gotta go out in the community and you gotta sell. Create something and go sell it. If you can do that, that's gonna help you so much when you guys get into your own entrepreneurial journey. So learn to sell.
This is a good one.
So I actually learned to sell when I was here through a multi-level marketing. Anybody ever heard of multi-level marketing? Anybody heard of Amway, Avon, Tupperware? So, okay. So back in the day, I call them mini franchises. You pay a little fee, you sell somebody else's product, but you learn to sell along the way. So when I was here on campus, there was a Mary Kay lady. Anybody ever heard of Mary Kay? Okay, yeah. So I learned how to sell Mary Kay. That was a great pocket change. I was making at least $500 a month extra. That's a lot of video games. That's a new iPhone. That's a car pay. That's gas. So I said, yeah, selling is a skill. If you can't sell, then learn to pay somebody else that can sell for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I need to jump in on the sales. Listen, I've been selling for so long. Right now, in my company, I am the owner of the company. Right now, in my own company, I am the #1 sales agent. I am the #1 sales agent in my own company because I sell every day. If you follow me on Instagram, at Hope Mims. At Hope Mims on Instagram, you will see my marketing is off the chain. Every day. Every day. You've got to be able to sell yourself, not just verbally, but visibly. You can sell yourself just by showing up. Verbal is great, but what do people see when they don't see you selling? Right? So you've got to not only sell your product, but you've got to sell that you're the best person. You're the number one. I just posted a video this morning. What is that song? Something about a 10. What's that song? Something about a 10.
Oh, come on, y'all know.
I posted a reel today. That song is hitting right now. And so when people see me, they're like, oh wow, she's not only posting the trending music, but I see her closing deals. People want to see that you are able to close deals. And if you can not only communicate that, sell to the person, get them to come up with the money that they have in their pocket, give it to you, but you've also got to be amazing at marketing. Because you can have some of the best ideas, but if they are not marketed well, people don't even know you exist.
You guys are on fire. We talked a lot about selling, and part of that is your personal brand. What would you say to someone as an alternative who just wants to jump right into their entrepreneurial career, meaning they want to be the boss, the CEO? What are some of the potential risks and challenges that are involved with entrepreneurship? We have many out here in the audience that have stated they want to be entrepreneurs. What are those risks and challenges?
I would say there's so many people that get into owning a business and they haven't done research. You are doing yourself a disservice if you do not research the field that you want to go in. Because if this is something that you want to do, you want to be the best. Research your competition. See the areas that they are not great at. If you see a company that does what you do, but their marketing isn't great, you make sure that when you create your company, your marketing is off the chain. But you've got to do research. Because research will help you avoid some of the pitfalls that some of the other companies may have fallen into. So research is the number one thing. And the other thing I would say, create a business plan. It's going to help you identify the areas that you need to focus on. Because it's a document that keeps you focused. Keeps you focused on all the aspects of being able to be completely entrenched in that business.
All right, I'm gonna give y'all a controversial take. I know everybody wants to jump into entrepreneurship, but I always tell people, go work for someone else first. The reason is because then you get paid to learn. If you're learning from someone else that is more experienced than you, that means when you start your own company, you can avoid some of the mistakes that you've learned while somebody else was paying you. It's nothing wrong with working for someone else. And we get into this, we have glorified what entrepreneurship looks like, but what people don't see is the struggle on the back end. Because when you're in sales, sometimes you don't sell. And so what does the month look like when you might have had a month where you had 10 sales, and then the next month you have 2. What does that look like financially? What does that look like emotionally? Because that entrepreneurship life is sometimes it's a struggle bus. You decide you want to quit every other day if you aren't doing it right. But there will be those moments when you need to lean on somebody else, like, oh, I need some help here, or you might need to get some funding from a bank. So I always tell people, before you jump out there and just go set up your own business, go work for someone else. Find a mentor. Learn from them. Let them pay you to find out all the things you don't know. Then go out on your own. And when you do, tell everybody you know what you're doing. Your family will not be your best customers. Your friends will not be your best customers. But they will refer you out And that second and third level of the network will be your better customers.
Jennifer, Bruce?
So, I guess my thought on entrepreneurship is, entrepreneurship, or the construct of entrepreneurship, is not the first step. So, who in here can tell me what an economy is? Does anybody know what an economy? What's an economy?
Basically, a system where money goes through.
Okay, so yeah, it's a environment where money or where items are traded amongst the citizens within that environment. Great. Can you tell me what capitalism is?
Money going through system. Money,
No.
people making money.
No. That's not what Can anybody tell me what capitalism is? Tell me what capitalism is.
It's when you take advantage of every opportunity to make money.
Not quite. So capitalism is the financial structure, the economic structure for this country, the economic and political structure for this country. Different than socialism or communism or that. And what it means, or what it essentially says, is that all of the economic and political decisions that are made in this country are made by private business owners, private business or landowners. So in order to have a say in how this country is run, you have to own something. You have to either own land or you have to own a business. Okay? So for me, what you need to understand is money. What is cash? What does that mean? What is there value in cash? Okay? So let's see. Let's do something. What we got?
Uh-oh. Yeah.
This is a silver shilling, okay? South African silver shilling. It's 50% silver. It's probably worth around $7 or $8 bucks. Now, maybe silver's up right now, so it might be worth $8 or $9 bucks. Here's a $10 bill, right? So between the $10 bill and the silver shilling that I just talked to you about, which one would you want to have?
$2.
What's that? Hold on, I'm missing a different answer. What would you say? You want the silver shilling?
Paper money.
You want the paper? You want the paper money?
Paper money has no value.
You said that.
Over and over again.
Absolutely. What?
He
So-
said paper money has no real value because it's being printed over and over again.
Yes. So over time, this decreases, right? So the value of this keeps going down. You guys know that a couple of years ago they gave out those stimulus checks to all the citizens in the U.S. You know where they got all that money from? It just printed. It just printed more money, more paper. They just put more ink on it. So the value of this $10 went down. That's why we have inflation, right? Silver, precious metal, gold, palladium, rhodium. You can't just print this. So over time, the value of this just continues to go up, right? So you have to understand money. You don't want to get into entrepreneurship until you understand money. Here, come here. You got both of them. When you get to the point when you understand what money is and how it's used and what happens, then you are self-motivated. You can be inspired to go out and make something. Okay? But if you start your entrepreneurship journey without having any experience, having worked for anybody, or starting in cold, not having done any research or whatever, if you start it that way, you're going to fail over and over again. And there's nothing wrong with failure per se, but you're going to get tired of it. It's going to eventually force you or push you to want to quit. But if you start with intrinsically understanding the economic system here in the U.S., what capitalism is, why we start businesses, and what those businesses are used to do, then you will constantly be motivated to keep going. Okay? So you got to understand that. So that's what I would say. Understand money before you go start the business.
I think that's a great point. As a follow-up to this morning's session, we talked about your journey or mapping your budgeting, your savings, etc. And we're going to close on that note. And so Uncle Bruce tells us, we have to understand money. I'm going to let Heather have some closing words here, and then we'll follow up with some closing remarks from the entire panel about the challenges of entrepreneurship. Challenges of entrepreneurship.
This is a challenge tonight, though. I would love to piggyback on the money. This young lady is actually one of the very first people that helped me to understand money. And one of the challenges of entrepreneurship is that you will have seasons where you make a lot of money. And one of the things I wish I learned early on is that the more money you make, the more taxes the government wants. And that's a real thing that nobody really talks about. So entrepreneurship is glorified because you can make all of this income, but when you make all of this income, you better have the right person around you to teach you on what to do with money. Because it's not just about the money that you make, but you want to figure out how much money you can keep and invest. So, and give back. That's an investment to me too, yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. That's an important point. We're gonna turn over to our closing remarks, but let's take one or two questions. Does anybody have a question of the panel? Remember, these are graduates of Coppin. They have their own businesses. They're all doing very, very well. Does anybody have, we can take one or two questions, a question for the panel. I see a hand back here with the hoodie on. Stand up, stand up, stand up. Give us your name.
My name is Gabriel.
Can you go to the mic?
Okay.
All right.
My name is Gabriel, and I want to ask y'all, what is an LLC?
Okay. LLC is a state entity. So when you get into business, people say you need an entity to start a business. You do not need an entity to start a business. All you need to do is sell something and get money for it. You have a business. LLC is a state structure. It's called a limited liability company. The goal of the LLC is to put a little bit of space between you and the business in case of something happening. Say someone comes to your business and they slip and fall and they want to sue you. So what happens is if you don't have that entity set up, they can take your personal assets. Versus if you have the business set up, then the only thing they may be entitled to is the business assets. People get this confused, however, because just because you have an LLC does not completely protect you. You still need insurance. You still need to make sure that that entity type is the best because there are multiples. LLC is just one. You also have sole proprietorship. You also have corporations. You also have partnerships. So it kind of depends on what the business is doing. So what's the goal? Are you selling t-shirts or are you doing real estate? What's taxes going to look like? Because there are different entity types, there are different tax structures for each of them. Corporate tax has double taxation. LLCs, depending on how many people are part of the LLC, can be taxed either as a partnership or as a sole proprietorship. So an LLC can get very complicated. So what I always recommend, do not just blindly go set up an LLC. If you want to start a business, you don't need that to start the business. You can always add it later. Plus in the state of Maryland, it costs you $300 to maintain the LLC every single year. So if you haven't sold one thing, you're already in the hole $300 to keep an LLC running for a business that hasn't proven to be a business just yet. Does that answer your question? Because I know LLCs can be a little complicated.
We have time for one more question. Yes, to the mic. Thank you.
What is the best way to get tax write-offs in your business?
Okay, this is me, the accountant here. All right. The IRS has a rule. The rule is that anything you buy as an expense needs to be ordinary and necessary for you to run your business. So if you are starting, let's say, a snowball stand, things like cups, things like the ice, things like the flavoring for that snowball are going to be ordinary and necessary for you to be able to sell snowballs. Buying a Lamborghini just doesn't make sense for that type of business. You can't transport any snowball equipment in a Lamborghini, but you could probably in a pickup truck. So the rule of thumb when we're thinking about what we can write off, quote unquote, for business is it ordinary, is it necessary? Because if it's neither of those two things, the answer is more than likely going to be no, it's not a deduction. And I know there's a bunch of advice that floats around on TikTok and on Instagram that will tell you that any and everything is a write-off, and that is absolutely not true. So things like your clothes, so anything you can derive what's called personal benefits from. So if I buy an outfit and just because I take a picture for social media does not make it a tax write-off, even though I'm doing branding for a particular company online. It has to make sense for the business. It has to be an exclusive use for the business. But there are always some exceptions to the rule. And if you're going to do something really crazy, as long as you disclose it to the IRS, they might allow you to keep it. That is a deduction. But to answer your question, ordinary and necessary. As long as you remember those two things, you'll be in good shape.
Thank you, Auntie Naya. Okay, we're at that time. We're going to do closing remarks. I'll let Hope lead us off.
Entrepreneurship is a great opportunity for you to expand your wings and do something that you absolutely love. Help people, develop great relationships, build wealth, and give back.
Please focus on the reason why. When times get hard, you will come right back to why you were doing it in the first place. It will keep you anchored in all types of chaos. So if you were called to be an entrepreneur, just know that even with the setbacks, you can still come up.
Learn how to be uncomfortable. You will not always be in a position to be comfortable. So sometimes you got to do things that are scary, and guess what? It's okay. Learn how to be okay with it.
Oh, yeah, so I have two things. So if I don't ever see any of you guys again, the one thing that I encourage you to do is learn to invest now. Invest. So I know we had some information about savings, and I think that's good. You have to put a part of your money away. Be comfortable with investing now, whether it's in precious metals, whether it's in a couple of blue chip stocks like Microsoft and stuff like that. Spend the money on something like that as opposed to buying the game. Invest in Microsoft, okay? Funny story, my son will talk to you about that later, because he wanted to buy something on a game, and I actually said, okay, I'll give you the money for that. That money's gone. At the same time, I took the same amount of money and invested in Microsoft, and now that $50 is about $250 sitting in the account. The second thing, this is the last thing I'll leave you with. So, Mr. Phillips, I talked to him earlier. We have a program this summer. It is completely free. It is called the CEO Club. It is for high school students. Here in Baltimore City, you guys can sign up for it for free. I will make sure he gets a flyer. We talk about money, understanding what money is. We talk about income, generational wealth, and how to develop wealth. And then we talk about entrepreneurship, how to get your business started. We give out money every day. Okay, so every class that you are in, if you are paying attention and can answer questions, I will always ask you, give me your cash app, and I will send you a few dollars for answering questions. At the end of it, we do a pitch competition for anyone who wants to share their ideas with the entire class. We give out cash prizes. Top prize is $1,000. It goes on down, and they'll give out some other awards, college tours, and things like that. So what I encourage you is when I send it to him this week, and he puts it out to everybody, sign up for it. It's completely free. It's 8 sessions over 5 weeks. It's a couple hours a session, and it's over Zoom. So it's really free. Okay?
Yes, Ms. Tate, I would like to know if any member of the panel would like to say why you took time off from work to come to sit before a student group today? What does that mean for you?
Nah, well, first of all, so went to school here in Baltimore. I'm originally from Southern California. I now live in, you guys don't even know where this is, Dallastown, Pennsylvania, which is right up 83. It's near York, Pennsylvania. And it's not the most diverse environment. And the reason that I came, one, you know, I'm an alumni. Two, I love seeing young black faces. I'm sorry. I'm looking at you guys and I'm staring at y'all because I think y'all are beautiful. And then three, I wanted my sons to come. So I bring my kids when I come to different events. I like to bring them here, and I want them to actually meet other people and share ideas and collaborate and be in the same environments that I'm in.
Anytime Calvin calls, I will come running. I am from this neighborhood. I actually used to live 4 blocks down the street. I set up a scholarship here. I graduated from here. I have long-term friends from here. Coppin made me the adult that I am. So anytime Coppin calls, I will always come running. I give back as much as I can because when I was in school, somebody gave back to me, and I am paying it forward. That's the only way I know how to be successful is to bring up the people that are under me to make sure that they have safe spaces, they have the financial resources, and they have the knowledge that I have.
I'm first generation in the United States to 2 parents from Sierra Leone, West Africa, and I saw the struggle that they had to go through. My mother put herself through school right here at Coppin State, back then college. So in our community, we always pull one another up. So for me, it's just innate to give back. I think it is absolutely selfish to have even one thing and not to think of somebody else to give at least a little piece of it too. So for me, it means absolutely everything. You don't know how much it could mean to somebody else by pouring into them, and people have done it for me my entire life. So it's really my duty to give back. Thank you for the question.
It's to give back for me. A lot of what I am is because someone gave to me, and they gave it unselfishly. They didn't charge me for it. It's information I got for free. And so who am I to not give the knowledge that I have to someone that needs it? And so as you guys continue to advance in life, you go to college and you matriculate, you graduate from a college or a university, give back, come back, give financially, share your gifts, because the struggles that we as business owners went through, we're trying to help you avoid those pitfalls for free. We're giving you this information because we don't want to see you fail. We want to see you thrive. We want to see you succeed. So me sitting here today is a testament to what somebody gave me. So I'm just paying for it.
I'd like to thank my fellow alum. I tell you, it's been a long time coming, and I agree, Bruce. You look out in the room, and it's just a pleasure to see your faces. I'm a long-time educator here in the city. Started off as an entrepreneur, graduate from Coppin's education program as well. And you're the reason why. You are the reason why. Bruce talked about traveling from Pennsylvania. Some of us are local. Myself, I came almost, have you heard of a little place called Fredericksburg or Richmond? Came up here yesterday just so that I could spend time with you. So I hope you enjoyed today. And if there are any questions as you see us around in the lunch or the cafeteria, please come up and talk to us. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you.
How was that? Awesome. I feel like I learned a lot. I was over there writing notes. Thank you. None of that. Thank you. So let's give them another round of applause. We're actually going to do a really really quick switch over. We have a short presentation for you coming up next. It's only going to be about 15 minutes. Can you handle that? Yeah? I mean, you can take this time right now while I'm talking to go ahead and stand up and like shake your legs or whatever, do a little twist if you need to, yeah? Coming up next, wait, let me back up. Because earlier I said I like to read my notes off of my phone, but this is where technology is failing me because my emails didn't update. So I do not have the bio that I would like to read for our next person talking to you. But here's what I do know. Miss Daphne Wright is a certified public accountant and also a certified financial planner. Miss Daphne Wright is coming from Wright and Associates, CPA, PLLC. And once again, this is going to be a quick 15-minute, giving you a lot of information. The goal is that you walk away with how many things? At least one, right? So give Miss Daphne Wright a round of applause as she comes forward.
Can you hear me? All right. So I am representing today the society. Representing the Society of Financial Education and Professional Development, and we have been going to HBCUs for the last 20 years, and we are proud to have one of the representatives, State Farms, is our sponsor. That allows us to come here and to present these presentations. But what I'm going to be talking about today, I know you have a lot of information here. How you all like talking about money? Does it excite you? Do you think it's going to accumulate for you? Are you getting something out of it? Well, one of the things that I'm going to talk about, I'm going to just do a little bit of a switch here because you have heard. You've heard a lot about how money works, what will happen if you use your money well, what will happen if you put money away, save money. Now, one of the problems that we have, and you probably see it all the time, is not necessarily the problem with money, is that we're the ones that make the decision about money, right? We're the ones that would be making a decision about what we save, what we don't save, what we spend on, whether we pay our cell phone bill. And so I'm going to just talk about something, and what it's intended to do is to give you a different perspective about money. I'm going to tell you, just not only am I a financial planner, I am a coach. I'm a financial coach. I help people make those changes that they're doing and say, God, I make enough money. I think I should be doing something. How come I can't get my money right? So it's because you have to learn to have a mindset. About 50%, if not 60% of you are probably not great with money. Okay? That's just the way some people are. Some people good with computers, some people good with money, some people good with every other thing. A lot of people may struggle with budgeting and money. So sometimes you have to take a different approach. Right? And so the approach is understand that budgeting is a process of decision making. And it's basically to help to ensure you have money for the things that are important to you. And it's really creating a plan. So not creating a plan about the money in and of itself, it's creating a plan about what's important to you. Right? So that's how I want you to kind of look at it. So budgeting is more than just numbers. Money's not numbers. Money is a feeling of, I feel important with this money, I don't feel important when I don't have money, but it's making you clarify your values, and particularly I see Coppin students that came in, was Coppin? Yes, and so you older ones as well. Clarifying your values, establishing goals, determining priorities, evaluating what's the trade-off and a payoff. Should I use my money for this? What is the trade-off if I give away my money versus if I keep it and get what I really want? Determining your needs versus wants. We've heard all that. And identifying the resources. Now, I'm not going to go to identifying resources because Maryland Cash campaign talks about looking at what you have to spend. So what I really want to do is just let you know that this is not philosophical that I'm telling you about. This is something you actually have to do. So you all have heard make goals, clarify your values. That means you have to take the time. It may take you a week or 2 weeks to sit down and figure out what's important to you. Many of you probably, just typically, it's not just young people, older people too, my age and older, we have money, we spend it. Because the way that the mind works is we get what we get, and we want what we want, and we get it when we want to get it. Everyone agree with that? Anybody just spend money, you see what you want, and you get it. That's normal, right? That's the normal way we work. And so what you have to do is to trick the brain, trick yourself into saying, I have to figure out what I want. You have to do it ahead of time, because when you see something, anyone been in the mall or whatever, in the store, and you didn't have any kind of plans to get what you wanted to get, but you get it. Am I the only one? Okay, so that's what happens, right? Or if someone, I mean, this is going to happen when you're older, when you're younger, you're going to be on a car lot. You're going to be like saying, hey, this is the car I want, but then you see a shiny new car, something with some extra things on it, and then all of a sudden, your budget goes up. Does anyone understand how we do? Okay? So, if you have taken the time, and I do mean this, so I don't want you to say, this is a good idea this woman talked about. I want you to say, really, sit down and say, what is important to me, right? What do I want? What do I want to save for? You know, because sometimes we don't get what we want because we've already spent the money we could have had. So taking the time to do that, it does literally take time. Also, it's about making changes. So this is not about how the money works, it's going to be how we work, right? It's how you work. And so you're going to have to, part of budgeting is making sacrifices. And that may mean, this doesn't mean deny yourself of what you want. It means determine what you really want. And then take some time to save for that, wait for that, put money aside for that, or just basically not only setting your financial goals, but then what are the steps you need to take to get it. Sometimes these are things that have to do with money. They're going to end up being things that associated with money may make you money, but sometimes you have to take the time to do that. So you have to shift priorities, resolve values complex. Sometimes you say, I really want to save, I may want to save money, but I also like clothes. I may want to save my money to get a car or a cell phone, but I like to get my hair and my nails done. Do you see how that could be values conflicts? So those are the things you literally have to resolve. So all the things we talked about, or all the things you heard about money, entrepreneurship, it works when you're working with that plan. So ultimately, what many times gets in our way is really kind of just us making a shift. So changing behaviors, making and breaking habits. Anyone have some habits that they know, I need to break that habit? So those are the things, and habits aren't hard, but I tell you what happens is when you do the first thing is to sit down, take some time, write it on paper. These are some of the things, the goals I want to have, right? For students in college, it may be that, some of you may be saving for college or having things when you're in school, the high schoolers. Others of you may say, hey, one of my goals is to come out of school with as least debt as possible. Okay, or to have a part-time job, things like that. So those are the goals. You write them down, and you will find that when you're starting to make a buying decision, a spending decision, all of a sudden you're maybe, I'm getting ready to get that. Then it hits you again. Oh, I've already said what was important to me, and you kind of snap back. And it kind of helps you. Unless you go through that process of really thinking it out, we're going to do what we default to do, automatic. So, for what SFPPD believes in is values-based budgeting. First, thinking about what's important. Values is basically you saying, what's important to me? What's important to me? So, as younger people are going to have less money, and the things that you do are going to be, you're going to have to determine what's important to you, the amount of money you have. And do you want to do everything someone else is doing? You may have friends who love to get clothes all the time, go to the mall. Clothes may not be, and that may be important to you, nothing's wrong with that, right? When I was in school, I was a fashion merchandising major, that was my first major, so clothes were important to me. But someone else has not. But you may go to the mall with your friends, and they're spending money on clothes, right? And then you just do it because you're hanging with them. Now, if that's not important to you, don't use your money for clothes, right?
Come on.
So it just depends on what's important to you, and there's no value, it's not a value judgment what's important to you, but be true to yourself. Don't use money that's not on things that aren't important, and then find yourself not getting anything that's important. You may love art, and you haven't bought any art supplies, but you love art, right? So these are the kind of things when I say, what's important to you, right? What's important to you? And it helps you to, and you really use your values and what you value and what's important to you. Your family may be important to you. And that becomes your GPS. And literally, the decisions of how you spend your money start to line up with what's important to you. So this is a way that you preserve your money, and at least the money that you do have, you are accomplishing the things that really satisfy you in your gut. Sometimes you literally feel, my gut really wants to do this. It will feel good if you take the time and say, I'll use the money for that. So we look at our goals, and then we look at our priorities. And so why put values first? It's because we're easily distracted. We're distracted from our intentions. We say this is what we want, and then we find we never take any action for it. And then our spending just easily goes adrift. We just, whatever we want, we get, and then we just find, oh wow, I'm not really doing some of the things that really I feel is important to me. So it helps you to kind of just make a decision of what you'll use your money for, what you're not going to use your money for. And then, if you kind of just say, what are some of the things, when you say, you use words like, what are your values, but it's just, what are you passionate about? What are the things that you really care about, And then you want to have goals, okay? So goals are really, you can use the word goals, just say, what is your real intention? What are some of the things you intend to do? And you establish, I'm going to get that, I'm going to achieve that, I'm going to do that. That's what goals are. What are those things that you really say you want to do? And you have to align not just your money, you have to align that, okay, in order to do that, here's what I'm going to have to do. And then I use those words, here's what I'm going to sacrifice in order to do that. And then your money follows that. Or, because you do it, you get more money. So one or the other. And then if you don't have concrete goals, you haven't done this process, which a lot of people just don't do. We don't go, many of us don't have goals, we have hopes. I want to do that. That's not really a goal. The goal is like, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to do, this is when I want to accomplish this, when is when I'm going to have it, and then kind of thinking through what you have to do, what you have to change, what you have to give up, what habits you may need to break, what focus you need to have to make it happen. So some of the objectives for financial goal setting is just, for each of you, it's going to be different. It's something you may want to purchase, right? Something that may take more than if you get allowance. It may take more than 2 weeks allowance or 1 week allowance or 1 month allowance, right? It may have to save for 3 months, 3 weeks, right? Have money for things you want to pursue. There may be something, hey, I want to start taking some lesson. I want to start any kind of thing, my little side hustle. I want to start doing hair. I want to start doing anything like that. Those are the things. And something that you just want to accomplish. Other things for many of the older ones who have money maybe coming in from a part-time job, improve cash flow, accumulate your savings, reduce your debt. And then there's a goal to increase income. You can say, hey, what can I be doing? What can I be doing? If I want more things, what can I be doing that I can make a little bit more money? So I kind of just talked about time specific. I have short-term, immediate, and long-term, but many of you are going to have short-term goals. So I would break down your short-term goals into what can I do in 3 months? What can I do in 6 months? What can I do in 1 year? You may have, older ones may have 5-year goals. But you want to break it down and know. And that way you can see, well, if I'm going to get this in 5 years, let's just say a year. I'm going to do this in 1 year, or I'm going to do this in 6 months. Then you can kind of do the math, right? You can say, if I want this to happen in 6 months, and I figured out it's going to cost this much, you then are going to have to backtrack and recognize what you have to do, what you may have to stop doing, what you may have to change, and some of the things you may need to change. When I say things like change, many of you may have more money if you were using, for college students, right? If you were using your meal plan instead of going out to eat and spending money, right? So this is the kinds of things that you can start thinking about. How can I maybe save money? How can I preserve some of the money I've had? How can I do something for fun in a different way that's cheaper than the way I'm having fun? Okay? So those are the things, and again, that's not you thinking about the money, it's thinking about what you do that you change, and then it has an effect on your finances. So clarifying priorities. I said we looked at your values. That's like your GPS. This is what's important to me. This is really who I am. These are the things that are important. We did goals. Those are some of the things you want. And then you're clarifying your priorities. That's just saying what has to come first. Because we can't do everything at the same time. And we do try to do everything at the same time because we literally, whatever we see, we get. When we want it, we want it. If the opportunity is there, we may just go ahead with it if we really haven't thought it through. But if you prioritize and say, okay, of the things I want, this is most important for me, this I care about the most, this I really want, and so you have to look at your priorities. There are different kinds of priorities, and everybody's priorities, when you stay and reflect on it, is going to be different. So for some people, family is important. Some, students, mental health is important. So fun is important. You just don't use money on things that, are necessities and needs. You do need to spend money on having some fun, right? Community is going to be important. So you just be out the box and say, what is the priorities for me? Because it makes my life better. This is really what, this is really what's fine for me. So when you have these things, then all the things you heard about budget, now you have a GPS for your budget. I will spend money on the things that are most important to me. So I'm not going to go into the resources because I have a short period of time here, but I think Maryland Cash campaign talked to you about how to budget, looking at your money, what you should do with it, save and invest. But what are you saving for? The prerequisite is that you have to think about it. Think about it and be very focused, very persistent, and give attention to what